You open your eyes, and the first thing you see is the gray smoke of the hearth swirling against the soot-blackened rafters of the longhouse. The air is cold enough to turn your breath into a ghost, and the smell of burning peat and dried whale meat is the only perfume you will ever know. Welcome to the North. To survive the first week is your first victory. 1 out of every 4 children born in this fjord will not see their 5th winter. You are one of the lucky ones, but luck is a thin shield in a land made of ice and stone. By the age of 7, your childhood is over. While children in the South are learning their letters, you are learning the weight of a stone. You carry them from the shore to the fields to build walls until your fingers bleed and your back feels like it will snap. You learn to make fire not with matches, but with a piece of flint and a rare fungus called tinderhoof that has been boiled in human urine for days to make it catch a spark. You learn to row before you learn to read the runes. You spend hours on the freezing water of the fjord, pulling an oar until your palms are a map of blisters and calluses. This is how you build the shoulders of a raider. You play games of glima wrestling in the snow, where the only rule is to not cry out when your arm is twisted or your face is shoved into the slush. If you cry, you are a thrall. If you laugh, you are a warrior. Your youth is a blur of hunger and labor. You watch the older men leave every spring on the longships. They return with silver coins and stories of lands where the sun is warm and the earth is soft. You want that silver. You need it, because in this village, if you do not have wealth, you do not have a voice at the Thing. The Thing is our assembly of free men where laws are spoken and blood feuds are settled. To be a man, you must be a provider, and to be a provider, you must be a killer. You learn the law of the Holmgang. If a man insults your honor, you challenge him to a duel on a square of oxhide. If you step off that hide, you are a coward forever. If you stay and win, the gods have spoken. Now you are 20 years old. You have saved every scrap of silver and traded every pelt to build your inventory. Let us look at what you carry into the dark. Your shield is not just a piece of wood. It is a circle of linden wood, bound with rawhide, and reinforced with a heavy iron boss in the center. It is light enough to move fast, but strong enough to catch a spear. You do not paint it for beauty. You paint it so the enemy cannot see the cracks in the wood. Under your tunic, you wear a padded gambeson made of 30 layers of linen or wool. It is heavy and it smells like old sweat, but it will stop a knife better than any iron. Your primary weapon is the bearded axe. It is not heavy like the ones in the stories. It is thin and razor sharp. The hook at the bottom of the blade is for pulling down an enemy shield, so your brother in the shield wall can drive a spear into his chest. You also carry a seax. This is a long, heavy knife that stays at your belt at all times. It is for the close work, where there is no room to swing an axe. If you are very rich or very lucky, you might own a sword. A good sword costs as much as 16 milk cows. It is a piece of art made of pattern-welded steel, but for most of you, the axe is your best friend. You join the crew of a drakkar. The ship is a miracle of engineering. It is flexible enough to ride the waves like a serpent, and shallow enough to sail up a river and surprise a village before they even hear the splash of an oar. But life on the ship is misery. There is no deck to sleep under. You sleep in a leather bag on the hard wooden ribs of the ship, with the freezing spray of the North Sea soaking through your wool cloak. You eat dried fish that tastes like wood and drink sour ale that barely keeps your blood from freezing. To navigate, you do not have a compass. You have a sunstone. It is a piece of calcite that can find the position of the sun even behind thick clouds. You watch the flight of birds and the color of the water. If you see a land bird, you know the shore is near. If the water turns light green, you are in the shallows. You row for 12 hours a day until your vision blurs, and your heart hammers against your ribs like a trapped bird. Then comes the raid. You see the stone walls of a monastery on the coast of England. These men of the cross have no shields and no axes. They have only gold and prayers. You beach the ship in the morning mist. The sound of the keel grinding on the sand is the sound of their world ending. You do not feel like a hero. You feel like a predator. You move in a line. You do not scream like a madman, because a screaming man wastes his breath. You move with purpose. You use the Svinfylking, or the boar snout formation. It is a wedge of men designed to smash through any line. You take the silver, you take the livestock, and you take the people who are strong enough to be sold as slaves. This is not a saga. This is business. You cut the silver arm rings of the fallen into small pieces to pay your crew. This is hack silver, the currency of the brave. But do not think every day is a battle. You spend more time being a farmer than a fighter. You spend weeks in the mud planting barley and rye. You spend months in the dark of winter carving wood and repairing nets by the fire. You are obsessed with hygiene, contrary to what the monks write about you. You carry a comb of bone, a razor of bronze, and an ear spoon. You bathe every Saturday without fail. You bleach your hair with lye to keep the lice away and to look fierce in the sun. You are the cleanest man in Europe and the most dangerous. Inside your longhouse, the hierarchy is strict. The high seats belong to the head of the family, while you sit on the benches that double as your bed. Your wife holds the keys to the chests. If she decides to divorce you, she can take her property and leave, and there is nothing you can do about it. The women of the North are as hard as the iron we forge. Let us speak of the myths. You do not wear horns on your helmet. A horned helmet is a handle for your enemy to grab and snap your neck. Your helmet is a simple iron bowl with a spectacle guard to protect your nose and eyes. You do not seek death in every battle. Only a fool wants to die. You want to live so you can spend your silver and see your children grow. But you do not fear death either. You believe in the Norns, the three sisters who spin the thread of your life. If they have decided that today your thread is cut, then no shield and no wall can save you. This belief makes you fearless. If your death is already written, why not die with your teeth bared and your axe high? You have heard of the berserkers. They are not magical. They are men who have worked themselves into a trance through ritual and perhaps the use of henbane or mushrooms. They fight without armor, feeling no pain, until the madness leaves them and they collapse in exhaustion. As the years pass, the sea takes its toll. Your joints ache from the cold, damp air. Your teeth are worn down from the grit in the bread. You have scars that itch when the snow falls. You see your friends die, not always in glory, but often from a fever or a simple wound that turns green and smells of rot. This is the straw death. Dying in a bed of straw is the greatest fear of a Viking. It means you did not earn your seat in the great hall of the slain. You want to die with steel in your hand and the taste of salt on your lips. You have traveled as far as the city of Miklagard, which the Southerners call Constantinople. You have stood guard for the emperor and traded walrus ivory for silk that feels like water against your skin. You have seen the world, and it is smaller than you thought. One final raid. You are old now, maybe 40 winters. In this world that makes you an ancient. You are on the coast of Francia. The shield wall is tight. You can smell the sweat and the iron. The enemy is charging. They are young, and they are angry. You feel the impact of a mace against your shield. The wood splinters. Your arm numbs. You drop to one knee, but you do not let go of your axe. You look up and see the gray sky. You think of the fjord, you think of the smoke of the longhouse, and you think of the Valkyries. They are not beautiful women in shining armor. They are the choosers of the slain, and they are coming for you. You strike one last time. Darkness. Synchronization complete. Your life as a Viking has ended. You left your mark on the world from the shores of America to the markets of Constantinople, You were a trader, a farmer, a builder, and a killer. You were a man of your time. This life is over, but the cycle continues. The history of human struggle is a vast ocean, and you are ready to dive in once more. Who will you be in the next life? The choice is yours. Write in the comments whose fate we should live through next time. Option 1. The samurai. A life of absolute discipline and the sharp edge of a katana in the shadow of Mount Fuji. Option 2. The knight. Clad in 90 pounds of steel defending a castle and a code of honor that is as heavy as your armor. Option 3. The cowboy. The lonely frontier, the smell of gunpowder, and the endless horizon of the American West. Choose your path, and we will see you in the next life. Subscribe. There are still many people to come, people no one has made a film about. Like it if the story resonated with you. If you watch to the end, you're no longer the same as you were at the beginning.